and welcome to Flosstube. Shoot, I didn't look it up. I think it's 14 or 15. This is April. I did not write the date today. It's amazing what happens when you're hole punching at work. I believe it's the 9th. It might be the 8th. It's Friday. It's the 8th. I had to do some mental math real quick. It's Friday the 8th of April, and I think it's going to be a fairly quick video because I don't have that much in whips. It's been about just over 10 days. It's been more than a week since I filmed, and in that more than a week, I have worked on the same project, with the exception of last night when I finally took it out of the Q-Snap and put it away. The last 2-3 weeks I've been laser focused on this one project, and I finally reached a point yesterday where I sat down to stitch and I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm ready to try work on something else. And it's pretty insanely crazy how much I've completed with only 5-6 weeks of dedicated work. I'd have to look at my journal to see like exactly how many days I've worked on it, but yeah, fairly short amount of time actually put into it for the amount of progress, which is just impressive and amazing to me. I have a little bit of haul. I have some life updates and a couple of stitching projects. So with that, I'm going to deal with the ones that I'm holding because they're heavy so that I can get to the one that I worked on forever and an age. So when I decided to pick up something new last night, what I ended up picking up was Lady of the Flag by Mirabilia. And I have the clamp on because I got this set just so. So it's like, take the clamp off the lap stand. Let's see if you can see it. What I have done, and it's not very clear in pictures unless you blow it way up, but all the floss stitching had been done prior to yesterday, and the Krynic as well. What I did yesterday is I started beading, and so I did all of that beading down that strip of the dress, and definitely have to work on my beading situation. It's worked great for Mill Hills the way I've set up my beading. I have a video about how I sort in the tray that I use when I'm beading. I use it for sorting the beads, but I also use it when I'm beading a Mill Hill. And I hadn't realized how much I bring the project and the needle to the tray. So I would pull the needle through, and of course I'm using invisible thread, so working to keep that from knotting and tangling. And I prefer stitching two-handed, especially on the bigger projects. So pulling the needle through, and then I'd have to pick up the tray and bring it to the needle to pick up the bead, and eventually I started just reaching over and carefully picking up a bead and then threading it, which is awkward and weird too. So I have to work on how I'm going to handle that. This is the first project I've done that hasn't been a small in-hand piece with beads. It's the first really large beading piece, so I need to play around with my setup to see if there's a different way that I can work with this so that I can bead with my lap stand and not have to like be picking up a tray and bringing it to the needle, or picking up a bead and bringing it to the needle and hoping I don't drop it. I gotta figure something out because it was a little tedious. It's beautiful. I'm really liking the way the beads are going in, and the beading itself wasn't the problem. It became tedious with how to get the bead to the needle without dumping them all over the place. The second piece is not cross stitch, it's diamond painting. I did put in a couple sessions on this. I think since you last saw it, I might have done this piece, but I don't think so. I think that this was after I filmed last. So I've done this section, I've done this section, and I've done this. And I basically am just kind of bounced around depending on if I felt like confetti, which that one's very confetti heavy. And then if I felt like a lot of block work, then I did the edges, or the corners rather, because it's tons and tons of 939. But this piece is coming along, and I have my next piece picked out. I thought it was going to be a Randall Spangler piece, but it's not. It's going to be an Abraham Hunter mystery piece. I've seen some sneak peeks of the finished, or the piece in progress, and I was talking with my mom and my sister recently, well, the last couple of days, and my sister's in the process of putting together a room for my mom when she eventually moves out here. It may be sooner rather than later, so she's got a little bit of urgency, and she asked me to help her with figuring out the layout. There's some complications in terms of the ability for my mom's home to transfer out here. There's no way that my mom's 1,500 square foot house and outbuildings will relocate to an 800 square foot house in California that already is well designed. So the goal is to give her a very personalized, kind of fresh start. My mom has had a lot of her life spent living in a bit of a kind of construction zone type situation. And my sister, while she's in the process of remodeling our house, somewhat cosmetic. The big remodel was her kitchen. Ripped out the flooring, completely redid the flooring. Heck, I think ultimately every appliance is, so it came with a stove, but it was very tiny, and to have any kind of a dining space, the stove was just too it took up the whole, it took up a big giant space. She had no pantry. She still doesn't currently have a pantry, because where you would put a pantry is where the washer is. So when she ripped everything out, she had them cap off the washer lines, and right now she's got a small portable washer that drains into the sink, and so it still has to live. She had some setbacks, and there's permitting that she has to do to get the water lines run out to the garage. It's not that far away. It's maybe 30 feet away from where the water lines are. But to get them run out to the garage where the dryer is, she has to get some permits, and she got quotes that were all over the place, and the inexpensive quotes she just didn't trust, because they didn't include various factors that others included, like permitting costs. And so, you know, when she queried them, it was like, well, yeah, we can do this. It won't be permitted. And she's like, yeah, no. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So in the meantime, she doesn't have her pantry, but her kitchen's coming along, and that's the biggest like remodel. She built all the cabinets, with the exception of one was like a hutch that she took the doors off, sanded it down, painted it, and hung it up, and it's got hooks so she can hang her mugs in the back of the shelf. That's the one upper that she's got. Everything else is base cabinets. But she made all of them to custom fit the space. Put in a corner sink instead of the sink in the weird spot. And she went down to a 24-inch stove, which it's just her and her son. And then eventually my mom. It's a small stove in terms of it's a very narrow profile, but it's a full 4-burner stove. You can put cookie sheets into the oven portion, two levels. It's got the 2 levels. You can put a 9x13 casserole dish. Like, cooking's not impossible. It's not like, oh, you're limited to mini stuff. It's just, it's got a very narrow profile, but it works because it doesn't overpower the space. It's such a small kitchen that you don't even realize that it is a small stove, a juniorish stove. And I think they have one that's 20 inches. So even smaller. But so that's the room that's getting like the whole overhaul. The rest of the house, primarily what's getting done is flooring. So she's got, the flooring's been replaced in my nephew's room, and we painted. And so his room's still kind of in limbo, because we talked about doing a loft bed for him, because his room is small. By California standards, it's probably actually a pretty large room, but it's like a 12x9, maybe 11x9. It's a fairly small room, and he is a very large boy. He's almost 6 feet tall. He's 15, stocky build, big boy. And so that's pretty much the thing that's kind of holding us back at the moment from his bed standpoint. He's got a bed in there. It's twin, regular twin, but he'd like a full, except that'll take up the whole room. And he also needs, study space, and he likes to draw and paint. And so he needs to have like his art corner. And that's why we're talking about the loft. So I've got to do measurements and see how feasible a loft really is with his size. There's no point in building a loft if it's going to mean that he can't utilize the space under the bed to be able to be comfortable in the bed, and at the same time to utilize the space, not have enough headroom to actually be in the bed. All the things at least I end up thinking about when it comes to remodels. So I'm starting to do the planning for my mom's room, and I was asking her what her favorite colors were because I have no idea. And she was telling me the things that she finds really calming, and immediately what popped into my head was this Abraham Hunter mystery painting that I have. And so as soon as I finish the owl, that's going to be the next one. What I spent most of my time on is I've made multiples of these. I made a series of variations for a group that's doing a Pirates of the Caribbean ride mystery stitch along. So did a pirate-esque theme. I had 3 outer fabrics and 3 lining fabrics that you could mix and match. And there's been some delay in the mystery sale starting. The designers had some hiccups and life things that have delayed the start. But so in the meantime, I put a pirate ship in it. So this is what I spent the bulk of the time stitching on. I stitched on this every day until yesterday when I put it away. I had the moon done ages ago, and the parrot and the dragon I've put in almost all the water, and the shark, and he's back stitched, and then that's the edge of the back end of the boat ship. So I think what I'll really only have left to do once I come back in and finish filling in the ship, and doing the back stitching of the second half of it, is the masts with the sails. Because it does go up into the night sky. So like all the way up there will be masts. There's at least one more cross beam with sails coming down. There's rigging that comes down from the sails. That's these long stitches that you then you can couch every so often. And I was starting to think that the sparkly blue treasure braid was not going to require 2 cards like it said, like came with the package. Yeah. I ran out right there. I've got this little bit there and that bit. And there might be a little bit right here of the blue treasure braid. And my card's empty. So I didn't finish the water, so I'll have to finish the water when I start a new card of treasure braid. but I would call that well past 50% because, or at least solidly 50%. Once I get the back of that ship filled in and backstitched, it's just going to be some sails and the masts, and then this will be done, ready for framing. It's got very tight margins. This is a fat quarter, I think. It's 27 by 36. So it's a little wider than it, like the width of it is perfect for the design. The design calls for a fat third, and this is not the called for fabric. The called for fabric was out of stock, and so I decided to pick something similar. The called for fabric is called Bang, and it's this really dark color but with splotches on it, almost like fireworks went off and, you know, that's the white part from the flash of light. So this is a fabric flare. It's called Moonless Witch's Night. Sorry, Moonless Witch's Sky. So I just, you know, I think there's one that has like a moon printed, because this is a printed fabric, has a moon on it, and I liked this one better because I've already got a moon in my design. I didn't need a printed moon. But the fact that it goes from really dark to more of the blue grays, really went well with the piece. And I calculated and figured out I have about an inch margin on the side. So I just made it an inch margin all the way around. It means I'll have a little narrow piece over here, but I really wanted to get the bulk of it in the darker section versus the lighter section. So anyway, that's where I stand on that. It is, with the exception of last night's work on Lady of the Flag, and I think 3 sessions on, sessions meaning like an hour or so, on the owl. This has been all I've worked on. And that's my whips. No finishes. I do have some haul. So I have signed up for the Silks for You Silk of the Month Club. And this month was Shades of Grey. So this is February. It's about, these came in just after the last video. So they are, I'd say three weeks to a month out from when you order. So the invoice comes in. The April invoice I don't think has arrived yet. But so the invoice comes in somewhere around the 10th or 12th. And then they drop ship to a hub. And that hub then puts a US stamp on it and mails the package. It just comes in a little cardboard mailer, about envelope size, in a little baggie. And so because they don't even ship from Australia until the 20-something of the month, then it probably doesn't arrive to the hub until the first week of the following month. I think mine was postmarked somewhere around the 8th or so of that month, and it takes about a week or so to get over here. My hub is in Texas, and the first time the first one that came, I was like, what's this envelope for? Who is this from? Because it doesn't say Silks for You on the return label. It just has an address. The other thing that came in for haul is actually for diamond painting. Wanted a ceramic pen to cut the cover into sections, and this was recommended by Diamonds and Washi, and so I got this. And of course, when you're placing an order and shipping is more than the item costs, well, you start looking at what else they have. So they had this, which is scissors in a case and a knife. It's got a ruler on it. It's a centimeter ruler, and it's also a pen. And I saw that and I thought, that wouldn't be a bad thing for me to have in my wardrobe kit. So it's not really haul for crafting. It's haul for my travel apron kit, because there's nothing that annoys me more than getting stabbed with pens and pencils or scissors. Yeah, so I saw the pen and I was like, okay. And then this is a little sticky mat. It's sticky on both sides. You can run it under some water, and you can stick it on top of your let me grab it. So you can stick it on directly onto the diamonds that you've already painted, or you can stick it onto onto the cover of a section that's not done. And then you shake your diamonds in the tray, and you set them on that, and it keeps your tray near where you're working without being knocked over, because and then it just pulls off. Now it might pull off better if it was already attached to something. So I'd been looking at that. It came as like a multi-pack on Amazon, and I was like, don't really need a bunch of them. And so the company that had the ceramic pen also had several of those, or had this but as a single. And so I was like, that's good. And then I got some metal tips. So I really am liking the multi-placer that came with my kit, but the plastic, it's looking completely chewed up. So these are metal tips, and I thought that they would be worth trying. So I got a 4, which I use a lot, and a 3. And then I got, this is a single square tip and the single round tip. And then this is like a little scraper thing to help you like nudge a row into a line, particularly like on the edge. And so that's my haul. aside from my Silks for You Silk of the Month Club, not cross stitch related. That's basically what I have. I do have very loose plans for April. I say very loose. I'm probably going to focus on my 2 Whip Go goals that are called, one of which is Lady of the Flag, and it was to spend 5 days on beading. I don't know if I have enough completed to actually do 5 days of beading for that section. I may have to do some days that are not beading but just stitching, and that's fine. So Lady of the Flag, 5 days of beading. I also have, the other one is to spend 5 days on a 2021 whip, and I picked Incomparable. I'm not sure if 5 days is enough, but 5 days should get me really close to a finish, because I have just maybe a little over half the border to do, and a couple, the man and the woman that stand next to the house. So depending on how much time it takes me to stitch the couple, the border stitches up really fast. Like, the part that takes the most time is you have to keep moving your frame for the border. But the border goes really fast. So I think I could probably finish the border in 2 days, tops. And then I don't know if 3 days is enough for the couple. It might be. Maybe 3 really massive stitching days, which may get hijacked because massive stitching days are not necessarily in my April forecast. Monday, we take measurements for a local theater production that I'm participating in. It's called The Mountain Play. There's a rock auditorium up on top of Mount Tamalpais, local mountain. And back in, I think it was 1906, 07, more than 100 years ago, significantly more than 100 years ago, a local theater company did a production up there. State park land. They got permission to build their set up there and host outdoor theater, and it's a unique experience, both for the theater goers, so people make a day of it. There's limited parking, so the company hires buses, like small school buses, to transport all the attendees from parking lots that are down at the base of the mountain, and they drive them up to the theater space. There's food there. You can bring in your own food. And so people will come, and the show starts at 2, but people will be there at 10 a.m. and they just make a day of it. And then they usually also provide a service where you can put all your stuff onto a bus, and it'll be schlepped down to a pickup point. The bus driver will take it down to this pickup point, and you can hike down the mountain to the pickup point. It's about, I think, a 5-mile hike. So people will come, they'll bring, a cooler with food and, bring their picnic. They'll watch a show, and then they will hike down the mountain afterwards. And just they make a day of it. It's a lot of fun. From the cast and crew perspective, it is a unique experience because you don't have the walls of a traditional theater. There are 2 enclosed dressing rooms, but they're very, very tight spaces. Everything is bigger than a normal theater. Like, you have to perform bigger. You have to, the sets are bigger. There's no curtains. So we did Beauty and the Beast, and you really had to employ the Beast transformed on stage, and you had to employ misdirection. So the choreography, the directing it is very integral to making things happen. From the wardrobe standpoint, we have to think about things like the stage. If we get a really hot weekend, the stage can become an absolute lava experience. So normal dance shoes, they don't work. The soles are too thin. The heat goes right through it. You end up with blistered, burned feet. We did Mamma Mia one year, and there's a whole scene where the boys from the bachelor party are in swim gear, snorkels and swim fins. And we had swim fins for them, but it's plastic. The heat's going to radiate through, and we had to glue shoe rubber onto them just so A, they had some traction on the wood decking, and B, they had some protection for the bottoms of their feet from the heat radiating off the stage. The Beast, I rated for Beauty and the Beast, I rated every dollar store for the gel eye packs. And we would throw there's one permanent structure up there, and it has a freezer. We would pack the freezer with these gel packs, and then every 30 minutes we built him a vest, because he's got this giant, he's the Beast, so he's got not quite fur, but implied fur, and a big old mask thing, and just we were changing out the ice packs in a shirt with pockets, strategic pockets, just to keep him as cool as possible, trying to keep him from overheating and getting heat stroke. The wardrobe supervisor said one year, I think it was South Pacific they were doing, because it's a beachy type theme, the girls, the bottoms of their feet were getting even with as much protection as possible, because the way the designer had costumed the show, she literally had packs of ice or gel mats, and the girls would come off stage and they would stand on these ice packs to cool down their feet. and they managed to avoid serious medical, but this is stuff you don't have to deal with in a normal theater setting where there's temperature control. No curtain, so you have to, be creative. No lighting. The lighting is what the lighting is. So, and you're on top of a mountain, so you're getting direct sunlight. And we got a new designer a couple years ago, and a couple years before COVID. And that was the first thing. I was like, whatever color you think it is going to be, take it outside in full daylight and stick it about 20 feet away and see if you still think it's the color you think it's going to be. Everything gets washed out. So if you're wanting pastels, don't buy pastels. It will look white. So it's a great fun. It's been 2 years since we had a season. I didn't think this season was going to happen because I hadn't heard anything. Normally the design phase starts way back in December, January, and we hadn't heard anything. And then I got a message in the middle of March and was, hey, we got the go ahead. We got the green light. A lot of logistics to work out, new things, but we've got the go ahead. We're doing Hello Dolly, and it's a tight time frame. Are you in? So I'm going to be juggling normally in seasons past, that would have been 100% my focus. I would have put in sometimes 15-hour days. I had to turn down my normal job, which was shop manager, because for a short-term gig, I can't quit my permanent job. So I turned it down, recommended one of the ladies that I had hired in the past. I said, she has a good grasp of what we have. Like, she's not coming in blind, because she helped me quite a bit in terms of in previous years of doing the organizing and the cataloging of what we had. So she can do the job. And what I can do is, since I work Monday through Friday in the mornings to early afternoon, I can come in on the weekends, collect what needs to be sewn, or if we need patterning done, I can collect patterning stuff and bring it home and work on it after work at my house, and then bring it back on Saturday. And so, needless to say, from now until Mother's Day, I'm going to be probably not able to do a whole lot of cross-stitching, because I will be working on Hello Dolly. But I'm excited because theater's coming back slowly but surely. It's coming back. So we've got that, and then Mother's Day is opening day, and every weekend till Father's Day we have performances, usually just on Sunday, but they're longish days because we will get there first thing Sunday morning, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and do prep, eat lunch, pass out clothes, and then go actually work the show, do the quick changes that we're assigned, whoever they are, and deal with crises, because the sun up there, it melts everything. the number of commercially made shoes that by the end of a 6-week run have completely lost. We go through a lot of barge. A lot of barge. Yeah, but it's lots of fun. It's a totally different type of challenge, and it's fun to creatively deal with the challenges that it brings. You know, it's just it's tons of fun, and I'm really excited about it. But it does mean that, one, I won't have much stitching time, and two, I may not have much filming time. So I may not be able to film until we get past first dress, or rather final dress, till the show opens. Once the show opens, then I'll have my weekdays and most Saturdays back, and I'll just have the Sunday performances where I'm gone all day. But the lead up to that is 5 weeks of building, something like that. And first dress, you end up with a list a mile long of all the things that didn't work, or that don't fit, or this broke. Grease, I was backstage during our dress rehearsal, and all of a sudden I hear, I need a wardrobe person. Her dress is disintegrating. I go rushing out expecting to have to like hold pieces together to preserve this dancer's modesty. What happened was the strap for the shoulder strap broke. The stitching didn't get knotted down, back stitched properly, I guess. And it had worked its way loose. And so when she started, I think it was a cha-cha or a salsa, very high energy, lots of arm movement dance. When she started doing that, it started putting strain and pressure on this strap, and the stitching gave way. And so all of a sudden she's about to have a Janet Jackson moment. So, she like slapped her hand on top of the strap and stopped and said, "Hey, I need wardrobe." And that was, her dress is disintegrating. No, her dress needs a safety pin and to be taken back to the sewing machine and properly secured. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to build a whole new dress, like this thing is falling to pieces. No, it wasn't falling to pieces. It had a minor malfunction that caused a temporary halt to the show. But yeah, my nephew still finds that hysterical, that they hollered for a wardrobe person and I came running out and safety pinned it and show went on. That was also the same year, or the same time, my sister was in the hospital with gallbladder issues, and I was dealing with neurotic dogs and stressed out kids, and yeah, that was a fun hell week. It truly was hell week. I've rambled way too long. For a short video, this has way too much jibber jabber, but I will see you all hopefully sooner rather than later. But it may be late April, probably closer to Mother's Day, post Mother's Day, before I'm able to film again. Hopefully not, but just a heads up. Hello Dolly will be taking over my life, and I can't wait. I will see you shortly. Well, I will see you next time, and in the meantime, I hope that you have wonderful stitching and are able to enjoy sunshine and bright days.